It's hot today, stocks, man. We got the free agency list. They're getting paid. I'll just say that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Some people are getting some pretty hefty checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail, sure.
Yeah, send them to us.
Yeah, so I'll take
Justin Durant, who I had last season, I got rid of him to clear some space. I did not expect this. I'll let you take it from here. Maybe I'm being biased because he was my player, or I don't want people thinking that. But
Okay, well, I'll break it down. The bid right now is at $56 million for 3 years. He's a left outside linebacker. He's 27, 6'1", 240, rated overall. He's an 83.
it's a 50. He's getting 56 million right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
The price is going up as we speak. Last year had a decent year. You're gonna have to fill his void though. 62 tackles. That's really, really good.
Yeah,
6
but that.
sacks is really, really good. Also, 3 interceptions. Okay, yep, good. But is he worth what he's getting paid for? Each year. His tackle is a 90. That's solid. So that's why he had a decent amount. 85 speed. That's decent. 87 agility. 87 acceleration. The big key here is 81 awareness. So he is a really good linebacker. Don't get me wrong, he's a good linebacker, and I bet you it was really tough for you to, part ways because, let's face it, you're going to have a hole there now with filling his steps because 3 tackles is a lot to fill. But
Yeah.
you have a new philosophy in your defensive scheme, so, I think it could work for you in the long run. Somebody's going to make out on here. But the thing is you're going to hurt the rest of your team by putting so much stock into this one player.
Well, I understand people have a lot of money, and maybe we get through 2, maybe 3 seasons. So people are like, well, if I got the money now, I'm spending it. I get that philosophy. I'm with you. I mean, I gave a decent amount to one player. We're going to try to keep this as blind as possible, as stocks knows, but to give 56 million or 58 million or even 60 million, wherever this ladder is, because we're filming this podcast right now, stocks. So by the time it airs, probably free agency will be over with. So we have to look at more value of these players instead of the actual amount. But we have to base it off what they're getting offered, at least right now. And I'm okay with he's. Like you list off his stats, he had a good year. I'll credit that mostly to because he was the only linebacker I had. Every play that a linebacker could make, he had to make it. So yeah, he missed tackles, but you didn't see that because I didn't have very many linebackers. You remember Tolick, he went down for the season, he was done. So he was asked to do a lot more, and yeah, he did good with that. But he also made mistakes too. So. I hope the numbers kind of lie here and he ends up being a great player for somebody because he does have good stats. I don't know if you want to break down his stats or not, but he does have really good stats. I mean, his pursuit's good. He's got decent coverage, but I don't know. He's not worth that to me. I mean, I think I could have signed him, honestly, for like $6 million, something like, like $4 million, something like that. And I didn't do it. And I'm sure in hell not going to pay $56 million or whatever it is. So.
Well, yeah. What's happening is just teams. There's a couple teams that really want him, and there's just a bidding war.
Yeah.
And looking over the free agent list is what's very. It catches my eye right away is these guys are old. A lot of old guys. I mean, Chad Clifton. He's 37 years old. He's already got a 10-year deal for $10 million. I mean. He could retire next year, so I know you're trying to fill holes, with your money left over from the draft and stuff. But you're looking at a couple, really old guys here, so it's...
Well, let me ask you a philosophy on that then. Would you rather give your big money to older guys, knowing that they'll either retire or they're smaller deals, but you have to give them more money? Let's say Clifton, he's at $10 million right now. He wants a 2-year deal. So even if he sticks around for that 2 years, only 2 years, or let's just say he retires, whatever you want to go with. Let's just say the bid gets up to like 12, 13 million. would you rather give that to him, knowing it will come off your cap maybe next year, so you basically get that 13 million back after whatever he does this year, or would you invest it in a guy for the same amount? That's just 13 million for a younger guy or 13 million for an older guy, but he's got a 4-year deal, so you're not going to be able to get him off your cap. So you're spreading that money out, but you're not going to be able to get him off your cap if he does bad. If you say you unexpectedly get a good draft pick and that player that you needed you don't need anymore because the top prospect is there in the draft for you. So what do you do in that situation?
Well, I can just probably give you my explanation on my team, and probably it'll intertwine what we're talking about. My center, Olin Kreutz, we all know how old he is.
Yep.
He's an old veteran, and I've been looking for a replacement center because he's 37 years old, and I've been just really, since the last 2 years, really been, I drafted a few last year, nobody came out. I'm looking this year. I mean, Todd McClure is 36 years old. I'm not going to give him. He's an 89. Yeah, he's an upgrade, but he wants $4 million. He wants $10 million for 2 years. He's 36 years old, so he's only 1 year less than Cruz. So no, I'm gonna really want to find the next center of my team down the road. Yeah, like we said, we're gonna have a couple of years, but I'd rather have a somewhat younger guy on my team versus a 36, 37, or 38-year-old guy.
See, I'm opposite, and maybe this is good, especially for the show, because people can get two different perspectives here. I'd rather give my money to an older guy, a lot like I did with McNabb, sign him for a short deal. Luckily it was only a 1-year deal. Even if it was 2, I guess he'd still be on my roster. But I'd rather give it to an older guy like McNabb, or a guy like that, than go and get the next, Ryan Mallett, or the next, younger guy like that. Because I figure they're going to retire, they're going to do what I ask them to do, and then they're, gone off my team. It's almost like if they do well, I can re-sign them. If they don't, I can get rid of them, cut my losses, be done. But when you're talking about a younger player, you're talking about potential, you're talking about investment. You're right, it spreads out over time, and you can kind of wait and everything. But I don't know. I like the older man approach. I just feel they're gonna give me all they have, and then after that, if what I got from them was good enough, I'll think about another year. So
yeah, but in my case, is you're going to get the progression of your investment. When you sign a guy that's 37, 38, you're not signing an investment for next year. He's not going to get any progression except maybe retire. And like I said, Olin Kreutz did not go up. If anything, he's going to go down because of his age. So you also have to take that in consideration. Versus the young guy is going to go up. The old guy is definitely probably going to go down.
Okay, let me ask you another scenario, because the free agents, it's cool for this idea that we can kind of go back and forth on different guys, different ideas, because I'm sure guys are doing the exact same thing in their head. Do I really want to give it to an older guy? Do I really want to give it to a younger guy? Or like this scenario, do you, we know that offensive linemen don't usually get drafted very highly, especially in Madden drafts, because people would rather have that skill position. They'd rather give that, they'd rather have that really good tight end or that really good wide receiver so they can kind of see what they got. Because the computer controls the offensive linemen, so they're not very keen. Some players, I should say. I should preface this. Would you rather draft an offensive lineman? I think I already know your answer. Or would you look for an offensive lineman that's kind of established, not even old, just established in the free agency?
Yeah, in my case last year, I was deeply hurting for a right tackle, and I knew I wanted a certain guy in the draft. I was looking for a right tackle in the draft in the first round. And I was kind of like contemplating, well, if I don't get him, maybe I can get, one out of the free agency. But Louis, my right tackle, fell to me, and I
Yep.
picked him up. And I mean, he's a stud. So I'm happy in that aspect. But like I said, I would have had to go, and if I didn't get what I wanted in the draft, I would have had to go through free agency to fill that void because the guy on my team was just not gonna cut it, especially if I want to protect Breeze. So that was my game plan. My game plan is to build through the draft, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's how I got it. Build through the draft. Maybe find a diamond in the rough. I have two free agent bids.
Mhm.
Nobody. One's that's definitely none of them are gonna start. They're just backups. So that's basically cleanup material if someone gets hurt. So no, I don't do any free agent bids, or I haven't. That person will be starting for me. I don't know about you.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm a little bit of both of those things. I will. I know some guys in this league. I won't mention any names, but I've had some conversations in the chat with some people. It's pretty obvious. They're never going to take an offensive lineman in the first round because they think that the computer, makes mistakes no matter what, or they think the computer is not as valuable. But when you can get a skill guy where you can make user picks, you can, control the wide receiver, control the angles of the running back. Those seem to be the kind of sexy picks, if you will, in the draft to go high on. Quarterback, positions you control more often seem to be the picks often taken ahead of one another. So I guess I have that philosophy. In a real draft, often the linemen go quite high a lot of times, especially if you're talking about a guy who's got loads of potential and pretty much top end guy who can legitimately start in the NFL. But looking at that, I don't think I would take one that high in the Madden draft, but I would probably take an offensive lineman in the draft like 10th, 11th, 12th, somewhere in that range. Not any earlier, but it's not where I'm like, oh, free agency. I'm kind of like you in that regard. I kind of go under the radar. I kind of get the guys that no one's talking about. Sure, I have a couple bids on some higher guys, positions of need. For me, maybe it's a corner, quarterback, maybe, backup quarterback. I reach a little higher for needs in free agency, but I'm more like you where I'm not really looking to really create any wars or fireworks or pay $56 million to Justin Durant or any of that kind of stuff. I'm kind of, looking almost to fill needs. And so I guess.
So none of your bids would be a starter on your team. Then are you saying?
Well, no, I think no, that's where we're different. You're going for more backups. I'm going for starter, but I try to get value.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys, they got a guy in mind. They go after that guy. Like obviously, whoever's bidding on Justin Durant, it's not just one guy. The war is getting pretty heavy on that one. Blood's being spilled, if you will, on that one. I mean, they're really going after each other. When they get that high, when the war begins, I kind of look for other options. I'll look for a guy who might be able to start, who I think can start, but maybe not be as well known, or maybe not be as highly pursued. I think you have to probably go after one. I mean, obviously, I had almost $30 million. I'm going to go after one or two big names, but I'm not going to go crazy. We know it's no secret that the Texans, he likes free agency. He likes to go after the big names. He likes to, he's kind of that shark in the water type where, he knows what he wants and he goes and gets it. I'm just not that kind. Hey, if you pressure me too much, I'll probably back up. I'll probably fold and say no. Like, if I was going to bid on Justin Durant, if he wasn't my player and I was going to get into that war, I'd rather go after two linebackers than pay him,
Yeah. You can get two linebackers with different, attributes and different
Yeah.
playabilities
and
for half the price probably.
and sub them in for situational and really,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, it's just two different philosophies. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I got some pretty heavy bids on some guys, but the bids I have that are heavy are positions of need. They're not, oh, I think that guy's good, or he's an A potential 95 overall, or he's a 91 A potential. I'm gonna go after him because overall he he's a great player. I go for more. What do I need? If that seems to be a good player, fine, so be it. But I'm not going to go after the big names just to say I'm going after a big name. And there's people like that in this league.
Yep. Yep.
And that's fine. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
not.
Oh, yeah.
There's types like that in the NFL. I mean, I'm sure we could name plenty of guys. So.
Well, a quick thing, we had our first game of the year in the books.
Yep. I think we should talk about the Super Bowl. It went so quick, Stocks, that we didn't actually get to wrap up the season.
All right.
It went so quick, I don't even really remember all the details or any of that kind of stuff. I think the Giants won, correct?
Yes.
So
we have to definitely say that we did. It was a great job by all the playoff teams. To get the draft in. We were our last podcast we were talking about it.
I told you it's very unlikely, but when you try to make a certain thing out of this league, or you try to say something about this league, they love to prove you wrong in this league. We were down to 11 owners and we came back. We weren't going to draft on Sunday. There was no way, and we ended up doing it. So these type of things happen in this league whenever you kind of count us out, so to speak.
Well, I was right on half the pick between the game. I took the Giants against the Broncos, and it ended up being the Giants against the Steelers. The Giants won 37-34, and somewhat of a close game. Looking over the stats, Brandon Roethlisberger only threw 10 times and only completed 3 passes.
Yep.
So it looked like Ross got the 31 attempts. I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean.
Well, yeah, we know that's the Steelers. He likes to throw only to keep you honest when he has to. And even he'll run sometimes when he knows you're stacking the box just to prove a point. He's a run-first guy, maybe pass fourth. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
He runs first and pass, fourth. Or, he'd probably rather bring out his special team than pass sometimes. But it eats up clock, field position, what he does works. He got him to the Super Bowl. So, yeah, but I'm not surprised about Ben Roethlisberger not getting many passes. He likes to run. He likes to jam it down your throat. And he tried.
Yeah, the Giants side, they're definitely more balanced. Eli, 23 for 31, 325 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and an INT. Bradshaw and Jacobs, Bradshaw over 100 yards. Jacobs at 60 for 2 touchdowns. Manningham, over 100 yards. Beckham's over 100 yards. So, the Giants just continue to be that balanced offense and just finally get through, his victory. I guarantee you he was happy.
Oh, I guarantee it. The Giants wins our Super Bowl. The Giants wins the real Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's a little irony there. But, yeah, we didn't really talk about many playoff games. The playoffs were really tight. Alex ended up losing the next round to the Steelers, which, he went to the Super Bowl, so you can't really hate on that too much. The Broncos and the Bengals, from what I remember, had a really good game and went to overtime. Thriller stuff there. And I remember you and me being in the chat room at some of the playoff discussion, because honestly, we can go back and look at the stats now, but it was moving so quick we couldn't even keep up sometimes, and we were in the chat room live. But I remember you saying, I wish we could watch some of these games. Like, it was that kind of intensity, and that was, really, it was just a game, I understand, but when you're moving that quick and you're playing so many good players like we have in this league, it was chaotic at times and hard to follow at other times, but it was fun just to sit in that chat room and hear people say, "Oh no, I might have lost it." He scored a touchdown on this player. Oh my God, I gave up a big play here. Oh, a fumble. And then they type all the exclamation points and make a big deal of it. It was fun to be a part of that, even though we weren't in the playoffs this year. It makes you hungry to get back to the playoffs, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely.
So
Yes.
yeah. A lot of people counted the Giants out sometimes, and some people give the Giants too much credit. So there's a balance of those. Do you think the Giants kind of proved anything, or do you think? Well, I think he proved something to some people and others, and they kind of knew he was good. But going forward, what does the Super Bowl do for the Giants? Not even for this season, but we know we're probably going to keep the same group of guys together, the same core. They come back for Madden 13. What does that do when you can say I won a Super Bowl in this league?
It definitely stamps you as the cream of the crop and the player to be beat. He goes out there, with that belt around his waist. So he's gonna be, he's gonna do more damage because I think his gameplay is just so clean and just so on top that you're gonna have to play a perfect game in order to beat this guy.
No, I have heard some things. Oh, he runs a lot of the same stuff, but obviously the same stuff that he runs works. So, that I mean, I think we could all learn something from him. What I find very interesting about this league is obviously we've had some changeover recently, with some guys, and we get younger, and it's kind of like a draft in a sense, Certain guys, they bow out of Madden after a certain point. You replace owners. But we really have a unique thing where we keep a lot of the same owners. Madden 12, Madden 13, Madden 11, it doesn't matter. We kind of all come together, and we have a pretty good, base. So when he wins the Super Bowl in this season, and the Raiders won it last year, that's going to be remembered in 2013. So when you're playing if he's in the same division, hey, I'm playing in a division with the champs. Or even you can go back. You remember when Manny won the Super Bowl, and so I can say, Manny's won a Super Bowl, while this league was constructed. So I'm technically in a league with, so that history really helps this league, I think. And that's what makes it great. I mean, we got owners, we got players, but this league really got a following, and it goes beyond the owners and the players. It's all about history. We got a pretty good thing going here, Stocks.
Of course we do. We've had it since.
Yep.
Like we said, we go back to when it was 12, 13 players. It was good back then.
Yep.
It didn't look good on paper, but it was good.
We survived those days, made history, kind of laid that legacy, if you will, and now we're paying dividends. We've had 30 to 32 owners most consistently, and really all those owners who would drop for a week, maybe two. Something came up, they had one sim. Really, we were carrying 32 owners basically all season, so that's something to be really proud of. When you got a cap, when you got time constraints, when we got a lot of time differences in our league, and to keep 32 owners most consistently. Yeah, we have some sims, but what league doesn't have sims? I mean,
yeah.
If you don't think you have sims in your league, you're not running a league the right way. It happens sometimes, in my opinion.
Yeah, we have lives.
We have
things that come up.
I was almost going to say it's good that it happens sometimes, even in the sense of men, because it kind of like, you realize this game isn't everything. And that's important to remember because, it always puts it in perspective. So that's it for my little soapbox for the day. But getting back to the free agents. Is there any? I know you don't want to tip your hat too much, or I'm going to give you two guys. We'll do it this way.
I can tell you my guys because nobody's going to want these guys as their backups.
But I'll give you two guys. Okay. Would you rather have McNabb or Kyle Orton?
For my style, my gameplay, I would go with the game manager, a little bit more underneath stuff. Kyle Orton, McNabb's, he seems just a little too shaky for me. Yeah, he's got a little bit of scrambling ability. He definitely has a stronger arm. But I'd probably just like to, if you have the good running back, behind you, that Kyle Orton's a game manager, it probably won't cost you the game versus McNabb. Probably, you think he's got like a 90 gun or whatever, and try to put the ball in certain spots, so I would definitely go Kyle Orton.
Okay, I'll give you another one. Tavares Jackson or Webb? Tavares Webb from the Vikings. Joe Webb, sorry. Excuse me.
Yeah, Joe Webb. They're both similar as they're not pocket passes, so they like to, do the play actions and hit the edges. Joe Webb can definitely run.
Webb's a little bit bigger and a few years younger. He's 26.
So I'd probably go with Joe Webb over, just for the age-wise, because they're very similar. Probably, that's just a tough one. It is a tough one, but I'd probably go with the younger age.
Now, when I look over the running backs and I look at different players and I look at things, isn't it interesting that no one's bid on Ryan Grant in a season? This is his second free agency, bid. No one bid on him all last year, even with the injuries, even with all those things. He wasn't an 86 then. He's an 80 now. Does anyone ever pick him up?
He's falling off the shelf. I mean, he's like he's like a glass, and you can't pick up the pieces now because he's done. He's basically done. And the year Manny had in 2011, he had 8 touchdowns, 14 receptions and a touchdown. So he ran over 1,000 yards. He had 1,200 yards rushing.
So
he's basically broken goods.
So you'd rather have Cedric Benson than Ryan Grant?
Yeah.
Same overall.
Yep. Yeah, just because of Ced Benson is a little bit. He's more of the better inside runner, where Grant can't really power down. I mean, look at 2011. Look at the year Benson had. He ran for 1,600 yards, 18 touchdowns, 7 receptions out of the backfield, and 1 touchdown there.
So you don't think that was all user controlled?
What's that?
That was the Cincinnati Bengals who had him before, correct?
Yes.
So if you give the Cincinnati Bengals Ryan Grant, you don't think he does the same thing?
He can't. No, he won't be able to rush for 1,600 yards.
I agree. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. I like this game. It's just Cedric Benson can just move piles.
Yep.
And Grant can't. That's the difference.
Yep. There's no really wide receiver that really catches my eye. Robert Meacham, he's out there from that trade you made a couple years ago, but
don't forget that comes back to the Mike Williams.
He's going to cost you $11 million because somebody wants him.
Yeah. I had him. He was decent. He's a decent route runner. Somewhat shaky hands. Can't really get deep. So in my case, I would actually probably go with more maybe Josh Cribbs.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you go more Cribbs or do you go Meacham?
Yeah, Cribbs is probably the better deal right now. Almost, $3-4 million. Just because Cribbs, you can put him on punt and kickoff returns, and he can stretch the field on, as your 4th wide receiver.
He's actually got good passing skills too for a wide receiver. So a wildcat, predicament. I know in the Browns playbook, obviously his default team, they have a passing formation just built for him where he passes out of the wildcat. So you could, utilize that. Meacham, I think in real life, we see guys that could be good if in the right situation. They had opportunities. They obviously have talent. They have all the measurables, as they say, but just it doesn't come together. Even though they have all this, supposed skill or potential, it just doesn't happen. And Meacham, especially in Madden, I think he's just never gonna in our league. He's never gonna be really that good. I mean, I'm willing to be wrong here. I mean, obviously, if I am wrong, we're gonna see. But I don't know if I pay that guy $11 million.
No, definitely not. And there's a reason why he got dropped, because I think his potential was probably, pretty high, and the player that let him go was like, wow, this is not what I was expecting.
Yep. Well, that's kind of the way was with Justin Durant. I did not expect that bid to get that high. I expected to get pretty high, but not quite that bad. We all know you drafted you drafted a stud tight end in a draft, and you have a stud tight end. So you're probably going to run that two tight end system. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. What do you think of Jacob Tammy? Do you think he could be that kind of dynamic, kind of two tight end set?
Yeah, I'm actually a Jacob Tammy fan. If that was another guy I would have gone through, if I didn't draft a tight end, I would have looked at just because of his speed and his height. I like those big tight ends that can run.
He's got 91 route running and 90 catching traffic.
Yeah, so that's really good. And his price is at $18 million for 4 years. He's only 28 years old with A potential. Overall is 86. So somebody's gonna land a tight end that's starter caliber.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely.
Somebody bid 10 million on Quentin Jammer. It's closer to 11 million now. Or you can have Rodgers at 26 million. Do you take a hit at any of these corners or name? I mean, process of elimination. You'd say probably that Jammer's cheaper. So if you had to, you go with him. But if you had to pay, even if we equaled it out, even if Rodgers was 10 million and Jammer's 10 million, do these corners really have anything that you think could really be dynamic? Sure, they're going to be players, but is there anything that sets them apart?
No, I think they're all kind of all muddled up in one big pot, and they're all somewhat similar in all ways. And if you scroll down the screen, Marcus Trios is actually leading the free agent pool for cornerbacks. He's rated a 74 overall. The bid is at $45 million for 4 years. He's 25 years old, 74 overall B potential. So something's going on there where I don't know. There's just something going on there.
They know something we don't know, Stocks, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, let's see. I mean, is he that good? I mean, seriously, let's break it down live on this chat right now if we really think he's that good. He's got 96 speed, so of course that's going to get people. He's got 98 jump, but he's a small corner, so that's... I mean, you would want... If he's going to be that small of a corner, 5'10", you want him to be able to jump, so... I don't really give that too much cadence. Good for you. You need that if you're going to be that small of a corner for me. He's got 92 man. Press is horrible, and his zone's just passable.
So for the money for there, it's I don't know. It's kind of weird that somebody would bid that much up on him if they really want him.
Maybe we're missing something here, but
you can scroll down, and I bet you we could find somebody that hasn't had a bid with those attributes similar.
He's got 55 spectacular catch, but that's not really that great.
And that's really not that important. He doesn't need to catch the ball, really.
Well, some people believe that if they have better spectacular catch, it helps with the interceptions. But even if that's the case, it's not even that great anyways.
Yeah, but if he has 46 press, he's not even going to be able to get on the wide receiver, so how is he going to catch it?
Well, I'd love to play him. I hope that's Manny bidding or the Vikings bidding, or because Mike Williams and Kelvin Johnson would really like that matchup. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't know if it's you, Manny, or if it's C-Mays, man, but go right ahead. I applaud you. Get that guy. 45 million and all. But going back to that point, obviously somebody sees. Going back to more of a serious now. Somebody sees something in that guy. I don't see it. But somebody sees something in him. That's called bidding for a guy that you really think can change a team. Now, maybe that guy really knows how to use him. And I hope paying $45 million you do. But do you really think that guy is is not even worth that? Like, I'm flabbergasted. I did not even see this guy on the radar, and here he gets 45. I mean, so obviously he's probably in a war with somebody. There's at least two people that see it. You
Yeah,
know,
there's two people that have been very heavily back and forth.
well, you know, there's two brothers in this league. Maybe it's them. Maybe they're wrestling over the computer. I don't know, in the bedroom, but you know, I guess we'll find out what happens with that, and you know, maybe in our sake, we hope they're not in a division because obviously they know something we don't know. I want to ask you about a guy though. Kind of had a really good real life career for a short term. Had all this potential. Great player. Looks like one of the best safeties. You know, you'd probably put him up there with Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu. And then he had a slew of injuries, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy in real life. But Madden keeps on giving him, you know, pretty decent stats, giving him a chance, you know, leaving his stats where he's playable and even startable in certain situations, certain packages, and maybe even if you're like kind of on the desperate end. And that's Bob Sanders. What do you think about Bob Sanders, you know, picking him up for a team?
It's tough because he's got 45 injury. I mean, everything else is decent. Everything else is good. He's got 91 hit power, but you're just waiting for that one hit, and he's done. So you spend all that money and playing, and it goes down to twos because his injury rate's 45. I mean, that's got to be one of the lowest in Madden, I guarantee you.
Yeah. So, but I think Madden did pretty well in that. I don't really understand the injuries this year. They're kind of a little all over the place. You have a good guy who's got high injury rating, and he'll get injured, and it'll be a substantial injury. So you kind of throw that to the wind. Like I kind of gave up on the 65 injury rating. I always carried a good quarterback with me, thinking Matthew was going to get hurt. Does that guy, whoever bid on him, just say, you know what? Forget that. You know, he's got 45. Even though he plays safety, he's going to take some big hits. I'm only giving him, you know, do you think $3 million is too high? I mean,
what?
$3 million. Do you think that's too high for Sanders?
No, that's reasonable. That's more than reasonable.
I mean, he's got.
The thing is you just have to have a backup plan with him in check, and if you do that, you'll be sitting pretty.
Well, I think that's right. I think if you want him to come in there and be the starter, if you don't really have anything else, you're asking for trouble, I think, in my opinion. But now, if you want him for situational things, if you want him for like a backup situation, you know, maybe that's the right fit for him. And we've seen that in real life where a guy's been injury prone and he goes somewhere else and he's done very well. So, is there any free agent questions you want to ask me? Any free agents you want to cover? We can get back to the Giants game even if you want to. We can talk about the actual game, the first game that was talked about for the week, which is always the big thing, the first game, you know, after the Super Bowl. I'll give you the reins to the show.
Yeah, like I said, the age aspect is, you know, huge when you have like a guy like John Abraham sitting there, you know, he's 35 years old, a potential 91 overall without one bid. How do you feel? How do you feel with a guy with that age and your money sitting there? Are you tempted to take someone that is at that age that's hasn't had a bid yet?
No, we are talking about John Abraham, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because that guy's been a Pro Bowl in real life, I think. I mean, he's been you know, and he's probably been called old in real life many times. I think though, going back to Madden in this league, if I click on his name, right now he wants $18 million for the whole contract. He wants $7 million a year. So 2013 he went $7 million.
That's just too much. It's overpaying. That's overpaying.
That's why he doesn't have a bit. Because if you look, I mean, we talk about value all the time. Bob Sanders, good value if you don't expect him to be a starter. If you're not asking him to do too much, good value. Because if he gets injured, you know, you're done. But $7 million is too much. He's 78 speed, you know, 87 pursuit, 93 power move. Okay. His hit power isn't great. Tackling, he's not even in the 80s. This guy, he's average at best. block shedding 77. He's on the down end, and he wants 7 million. No way. I think we see exactly what we seen with Ryan Grant. I think because you remember Ryan Grant wanted way too much last year. He wanted similar numbers, and no one bid on it because I'm gonna go back to Ryan Grant just to be curious to see what the computer generated his contract for year 2. See if anyone gives him a shot. But I think it's a very similar situation. If you're asking too much, now Ryan Grant's not even he's getting $1 million through the whole contract, but the first 2 years combined is over $1 million, but it's just over $1 million. So you're getting him 1 year, you're paying less than $1 million, but about 5,000, something like that. So this always happens, man.
Of course it does.
See that's Ryan Grant's agent right now. I'm getting sued or something for talking about his contract, but he's not even getting $1 million now. I think last year he wanted $3 million. So does somebody take a chance on him right now? Because I think John Abraham, to answer your question, is in a similar situation. He's just asking for too much money.
Yep. So he'll probably just sit there and collect dust.
Yep. Now, in real life, they think this player's got some skill. They think, because he's behind such a great player, he's never really going to get a chance, maybe in his whole career, because the player he's behind is so great and so young. This player I'm talking about right now is actually a free agent in Gridiron Gamers, and that's Toby Gerhardt.
Toby Gerhardt.
Do you think Toby Gerhardt? Yep. You think Toby Gerhardt can kind of be a number 1 back?
No, he's not. He's not your atypical starting back just because he's kind of the ground and pound guy, and he doesn't really catch the ball well out of the backfield. He's not very shifty, so he kind of runs downhill. In that case, he's definitely a good short yard back. He's gonna help move the chains. So yeah, you would like him on your team. But as a starter, carry the load, no.
Could he get say 5, 6, 7 carries a game?
Yes, that would be perfect.
So he's not just a backup that you store in case of an injury. You still get him in the game. You just don't think he's a starter.
Yeah. Yep.
Fair enough. I think that's about right. Now he wants not even $1 million a year, so that's fine. You do that. I think the bid's like $2 million, something like that.
Yeah, 2.5. That's a good solid deal for 3 years.
Pierre Thomas is getting $3 million. I'm not surprised by that. He's still got legs. I think the reason you got rid of him, and I think you eventually traded him, was because you just had too many cooks in the kitchen. He's still got legs.
Yeah, he actually had a decent year last year. He's just as good as Cedric Benson, if not a little bit better, because he can catch the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah. Now, we know Justin Durant's getting paid a lot. We know that this will happen, but Phillips is getting $25 million. I know you've had him in previous Maddens. I know the attributes are going to be slightly different from year to year, depending on how Madden grades it out. But he's not very fast.
Yeah, and he doesn't do anything really one good thing spectacular.
He's an all-around guy.
And not even an all-around guy. He's more just a mediocre guy. I'd rather have someone in there that has a better attribute at a certain specific skill than just him being average at every spot.
I don't know, man. He's not average in every spot. He's got 91 pursuit, which is pretty decent for a linebacker. He's got...
That's okay. Yep.
His tackling is too low for a linebacker, in my opinion. I look at tackling and speed. He's got good block shedding. He's got decent fitness move. Good power move. I'd actually put him at defensive end from his stats. His block shedding's 84. His fitness move's 80. His power move's 90. His hit power is 87. Sounds like a 91 pursuit. Sounds like a pretty decent defensive tackle, a below average linebacker. So maybe you are right. I was all ready to say no, you were wrong until I saw the tackling. For me, a linebacker's got to be able to tackle, man. His tackling's at 79.
Yeah, if he's not tackling, what is he doing? running around on the field. What could he do? You know what I mean? So
And
that's
he's not even running full speed. Like,
yeah.
well,
So
he's running his full speed, but it's not even close to what you want from a linebacker. So, because my philosophy about that, about any of these linebackers, is you go back at it. I'm not a very big speed guy in a lot of things. You know, my wide receivers don't have to be the fastest. You know, I got Mike Williams, who will probably play my second wide receiver. Thanks, Docs, for that. But, so, speed isn't everything like it is with some people in Madden. But I like my linebackers quick. And I'll even settle if they're not, like, you know, blazing quick. Good. But I think, in my opinion, if you're going to make a mistake, I want you to do it at full speed, you know?
yeah.
And
Have a chance of running down an Adrian Peterson. You know.
yeah, he's got a chance at making the tackle if Adrian Peterson kind of runs in his direction. But if you don't take the right direction with that angle with that guy, you know, forget it. And I'm not a math guy, so I'm not going to take any angles, man. Right triangles, left triangles, forget all that. I want my speed. I'm going to run right at you, full speed, you know, and try to hit you. I don't want to take angles and worry about all that, man. Forget that. But if you're that kind of guy, go for it. Let's break down this game. We got a bit of time here. The first game of the year. And I heard there's some big trades. We'll get to that. We're going to, I think there will be a season breakdown next week. I think that sounds good. We'll have to see what works for Stocks, what works for me. You know, anything kind of comes up, you know, we got to adjust. Again, we have lives. We speak to how highly that is to have lives even for this league. So, you know, we'll get back to you on that. I do have some exciting news to get to. I was in contact with the Jets, Stocks.
Okay.
He's going to come on the show when we do the season breakdown. Talk about that division and talk about
time we get an AFC guy out here.
Yep. So
maybe Alex has been MIA, so
yeah. And hopefully maybe we can get Alex back. We can have the Jets. I'm just excited that he, you know, someone stepped up and like, hey, I love the show. I want to be a part of it. If you don't, fine, that's cool. I get it. I've been trying for too long. I'm not going to waste my breath anymore. But it's kind of cool. This guy kind of sought me out and said, he actually asked us to be on the show, Stocks. He asked us, like, I was like, dude, there's not even a waiting list. I mean, come on.
He's got 30 minutes free to himself. We're just gonna break down the Jets all night.
Yeah, we almost need just like content a lot of times. We run out of things to say, so you don't gotta ask us to be on the show at any time.
Yeah.
Hell, you can interrupt us, and we'd probably appreciate it sometimes. But
we don't have a call-in number. You know, we need a call-in number.
yeah, that's it. Maybe that's what it was when my phone was ringing earlier. Maybe that was a call, and I accidentally hung up on it, man. I gotta start answering those live on the air. But going back to the Giants and the Cowboys, first game of the year, which is always exciting, even if it's just a crap game. I mean, we know that in real life. It's just exciting to see football again. And these two owners, they didn't waste no time. The free agency bid is still open. I mean, you can still get a guy in the free agency who, you know, who could change a team. But I guess the Giants figures, you know what, I was a Super Bowl team. I probably don't have a lot of needs to fill. Probably don't have a lot of money. I'm going to go after it and try to get my first win of the season. So, and I understand. I mean, I know the Cowboys, he wants to get off to a better start. He wants to have a better year. So I understand him being anxious and eager to play as well. So let's break it down. We saw the rookie. I can say that about the Cowboys. He used McCoy a little bit. Didn't do horrible with McCoy either. You know, we saw where he usually switches quarterbacks, and after the first quarterback has a lot of interceptions or that kind of stuff. I think he might be all right, though. We saw the rookie only throw 13 passes and have almost 100 yards, 1 yard short. And McCoy also had 154 yards and 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So he actually managed the game pretty well on offense, it looks like.
Yeah. Jones ran pretty well for 16 attempts for $165 and 2 touchdowns against the G-men and broke a 72-yard long.
Now, I want you to go down the list. There's a wide receiver that's a rookie. He's like third on the list for receptions. Everyone was saying he's a poor man's Calvin Johnson. And, you know, he came out and he had 3 receptions in his first game, 1 touchdown, and 31 yards. Not bad. I mean, if you're going to be called the Kelvin Johnson clone, that's not bad.
No, he's got to get his feet wet. You know, he's one TD in his first game. That's pretty solid.
Yep. So, but again, the Giants won the game. It was a really close game from the stats. I mean, now if you look at it, it was 31. It was 31-44, but looking at the stats, it wasn't like we broke down some of the Cowboys games last year where the Cowboys just couldn't do anything on offense, and it looked like, you know, his defense probably got tired, because your defense really can get tired if your offense doesn't do anything all game. So, to me, this is just a sign that the Cowboys, he might be a force again, you know, looking at the playoffs. I've always thought that he was a good player, and I think, you know, he kind of got discouraged last year, so hopefully he keeps his head up. Going back to the Giants, though, do you see another Super Bowl run in him?
Yeah.
That kind of season? Or do you think he takes a step back?
How could he not? Look what he's doing.
I'm just asking because you know that Super Bowl hangover.
No, he doesn't have it yet.
I guess that's why he wanted to get to the next season. Forget all the bad. He didn't want he wanted to show us he's not hungover. So see, there he is.
Mark Bradshaw, 30 attempts, 200 yards rushing, 1 TD.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
come on, man. This guy's for real.
he runs a lot outside with him, and he uses them quite well, obviously. That's all I got for this week, Stux. You got anything?
All right, brother.
I think we covered a lot of things. Now we have to preface this. This probably won't be up before the end of the free agency, so that's why we didn't break down a lot of numbers. We can go back and look at who got what. You know.
Yeah, we will next podcast.
You know, it's kind of blind now. We don't even know who paid $56 million, or it's probably up at $65 million by the time we end this thing. But so maybe we can finally figure out who that guy is, and either commend him or think he's ridiculous. But that'll be like the trade with Manny. We'll be looking at that. That'll be one of the things we always go back to. Did you pay too much for him? Okay, if you didn't, you know, show me the results. I'll be interested to see, you know, especially from my perspective, because I've used him before. I know what he can do, and if somebody can use him better, fine. I hope it, but... Alright, fellas, peace out. We're going to get out of here on this.